Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Jasween Kaur from University Business School, Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar. Today we are going to talk on the module Service Blueprinting from the paper Services Marketing. So students, let us now see what we are going to learn in this module. First of all, we will build a framework of service blueprinting for effective services delivery. Then we'll understand to provide an overview of the service delivery practices, identifying its fall points, improving services design, helping in continuous service quality improvement, and constituting a rational base for both internal and external marketing. Third, one of the important objectives is to understand whether it provides a basis for identifying and assessing cost, revenue, and capital invested in each element of the service. Now, to begin with the introduction to this topic, Sostak introduced the concept of blueprinting by designing and specifying intangible service processes. A service blueprint is a visual portrayal of the service place that displays the service by simultaneously depicting the process of service delivery. The point of customer contact and the role of the customer is important, and employees and the visible element of the service is also considered when making a service blueprint. This technique of service blueprinting can be used not only for developing new innovative services but as well as improving and upgrading the existing services.
It is important to discuss building a service blueprint. The development of blueprint needs to involve variety of functional representatives as well as information from the customer. There are various steps in a process of building a service blueprint. First step, identify the service process to be blueprinted. One should break down from the complex processes into small steps and identify those parts of service which are not visible to the clients. For example, purchasing of supplies. Identify the customer or the customer segment experience the service. The needs of each customer segment is different and requires the variation in the service design. Blueprints are useful when developed for customer or the customer segment, assuming that the service processes varies across the service segment. Step 3. Map the service process from the customer's point of view. This step involves charting the choices and actions of the customers in purchasing, consuming, and evaluating the service. This step will help avoid focusing on processes and the steps which have no customer impact. Step 5. Map contact employee actions. First, the lines of interaction and visibility are drawn, and the process from the customer contact person's point of view is mapped, distinguishing visible activities from the invisible activities. Step 5. Link customer contact activities to needed support functions. The link of internal interaction can be drawn and linkages from contact activities to internal support functions can be identified. In this process, the direct and indirect impact of internal actions on the customer becomes apparent.
Now stage 6. We add a reference of service at each customer action step. Now adding of evidence of service at each customer step is important step. Finally, the evidence of the service can be added to blueprint to demonstrate what the customer sees and experience as tangible evidence of the service at each step. Next step is isolate fault points. In this step, the experts should build failures safe various subprocesses in order to correct the possible errors. Next step is establish time frame. The execution of time frame of a service is a major cost determinant factor, because if the cost is higher, if the time is higher, because everything has to be done within a particular time frame. If it is not done, the cost is going to exceed. The next step is analyze profitability. The expert must quantify the cost of delay and establish the time of service execution standards in order to analyze the profitability. Now, different components of service blueprinting is we are going to discuss now. The convention of drawing service blueprint is not rigid and it cannot be defined rigidly. Thus, the particular symbols used, the number of horizontal lines in the blueprint, and the labels for each part of the blueprint may vary. One of the service blueprinting's major strength is its flexibility when compared to other mapping approaches.
Now we'll be understanding diagrammatically the blueprint of a service. In this example, we have taken a blueprint for overnight hotel stay service. Now if a customer wants to stay in a hotel for an overnight, how does the service provider creates a blueprint for the customer well in advance so that when the customer comes, he gets an effective service? The various elements of physical evidence which the service provider ensures are hotel exterior parking, cart for bags, desk registration papers, elevators halfway room, again cart for bags, room amenities, menu, delivery of food, appearance, taste of food, temperature in the room, billing, desk, lobby, so that when the customer comes and arrives at the hotel, he should have an effective parking space. The cart for bags, the bell person, the carts will be taken to the inside of the hotel. At the desk reception, the check-in takes place. Then through the elevators, you go to the room. The cart gets you the bag and you receive the bags. You should have all the amenities required for making your stay comfortable. You should have call service, room service, where the room call service, you have the menu and you can receive the food and it is delivered to you in your taste and specification. And lastly, when you check out from the room, there should be an effective billing desk service. So in all these people, the contact people and the support services, starting from your registration to check-in, to the delivery of bags, to deliver of food, to all the amenities which are provided to you during your stay, to the process of checkout at the registration. You should have a blueprint of service so that when the customer comes, there is no gap in getting the service. And according to the blueprint, all the employees involved, they perform the service so that they understand how to provide the service and there are no communication gaps. Customer actions. This area involves the steps, choices, activities and interaction the customer performs in the process of purchasing, experiencing, and evaluating the service. The total customer experience is apparent in this area of blueprint as we understood in our previous slide 12. As in the example, we understood that the overnight hotel stay customer is actively involved and his activities and interactions in the hotel at various points of time are shown in customer action component such as arrive in hotel, checks in, sleep, shower, receive food, checks out and leave. Contact employee action. There are two areas of contact employee action which are first, on-stage visible contact employee action, second, backstage invisible employee action. The activities that the contact employee performs that are visible to the customer are on-stage employee actions. These are the employees who directly interact with the customer. They are also known as customer interfacing employees. For example, in the diagram of blueprint in slide 12 we discussed, employees directly interact with the customer through the activities such as greeting them, taking their bag, process of registration, delivery of bag, delivery of food and checkout. But we know that we have back-end operations to match up with these front-end operations. The back-end invisible employee actions are that occur behind the scene to support the on-stage activities. Contact employee action. There are two areas of contact employee action which are first, on-stage visible contact employee action, second, backstage invisible employee action. The activities that the contact employee performs that are visible to the customer are on-stage employee actions. These are the employees who directly interact with the customer. They are also known as customer interfacing employees. For example, in the diagram of blueprint in slide 12 we discussed, employees directly interact with the customer through the activities such as greeting them, taking their bag, process of registration, delivery of bag, delivery of food and checkout. But we know that we have back-end operations to match up with these front-end operations. The back-end invisible employee actions are that occur behind the scene to support the on-stage activities. Third point is support processes. This section covers the internal service steps and interactions that take place to support the contact employees in delivering the service. As in the example, activities which are performed to support frontline employee actions are registration system. So the registration process, the desk process, is the support service. Next is physical evidence. In the blueprint, physical evidence is listed at top of each point of contact. These are also known as peripheral evidence. The customer may get attracted or detracted from the services because of this peripheral evidence, such as newspapers or magazines to read or appointment cards. Preparation of blueprint. The stages involved in blueprinting preparation are representation of product service in its molecular structure. In case of services, the intangible elements dominates in the blueprint design. In the blueprint design, intangible elements are represented by circles, whereas tangible elements are represented by squares. As we discussed in our slide 12, the squares are representing tangible elements and circles are representing intangible elements. This stage can be undertaken by the following reasons. First, it concentrates the mind and provokes the valuable discussion. Second, it increases the understanding of the services being offered. Second step, breaking down the process into logical steps. In this stage, the whole process is broken down into logical steps. To effect a satisfying experience, service provider develops a script which is defined as predetermined stereotype sequence of actions that define situation. Third, recognizing the variability in the process. In the service blueprint, fan symbol is used to denote variability within the process. The variability can be either planned or unplanned. Where the variability is planned, the fan follows a circle. Where the variability is unplanned, the fan follows the circle. So the variability planned, the fan is following a rectangle, and the variability is unplanned, the fan is following the circle. Next step, the fourth step says identify the backstage elements in the process. Backstage elements are shown in the process after the line of visibility which distinguishes front office from the back office. These elements include activities which are performed to support visible actions of employees. Most of the backstage elements themselves can be represented as processes. Service mapping. It is a technique which is used to portray an existing service situation and provides a useful tool to assess and identify service evidence opportunities. These are built on blueprints and provide two important additional information. First, provide greater attention to customer interaction, that is, paying more attention to first stage activities. Second, provide visual representation of the structure of the service by drawing additional vertical layers. In the service map, the horizontal axis represents the process and the vertical axis represents the structure of the service. A service map may be read horizontally from left to right to understand the actions or steps that might be performed by either customer or the contact employees of the firm, or it may be read vertically to understand structural relationship that exist to support the actions of the customer and the employees. Larger the service organization, the greater the need to make clear structure in order that service logic is understood by employees. These lines can be understood in the next diagram. Now this shows the customer actions, the line of interaction. The rectangles show the line of interactions at various stages. The next level shows the on-stage contact employee actions, the line of visibility. Next, the backstage contact employees and the line of internal interaction. And lastly, the support processes.
The first point is line of interaction. This denotes the distinction between the customers and the frontline employees. It is the interaction between the customers and the frontline employees which determines the blueprint and its various specifications. The second is line of visibility. This line separates all the service activities visible to customer from those not visible to customer. This line also separates what the contact employees do in order to understand the various on stage from what they can do from backstage, meaning it is the customer contact employees who deal with the customer. So at the front end, at the on stage, they are having a direct interaction with the customer, but they have to fall back on the back end and the backstage employees for effective delivery. For example, in a medical examination situation, the doctor who performs the actual exam and answer the patient's questions. When you're examining the patient and you're answering the patient's questions and his queries, above are the line of visibility on stage. Whereas the doctor might need the patient's chart in advance or the material or his background or his history and dictates various modes on the following to exam below the line of visibility or the backstage to understand the customer. The third is line of internal interaction. This line separates the customer contact employee activities from the operations support staff activities. The interaction between them normally occurs out of the sight of customers. The next point is line of implementation. This line divides the operations staff and the general management services. The latter may be located physically at a distance from the former and are not therefore directly involved with implementing the service.
Now we need to understand the advantages of blueprinting. First, provides an overview. Employees can relate what I do to the service viewed as an integrated whole, thus reinforcing a customer-oriented focus among employees. Second, identifies fail points. Blueprint helps to identify weak points of the chain of service activities. These points can be the target of the continuous quality improvement. Third, improves service design. Line of interaction between internal customers and employees illuminates the customer role and demonstrates whether the customer experiences the quality, thus contributing to informed service design. Next, rational service design. Line of visibility promotes a conscious decision on what customers should see and which employee will be in contact with the customer, thus facilitating the rational service design. Fifth, continuous quality improvement. Line of internal interaction clarifies interfaces across departmental lines with their inherent interdependence, thus strengthening continuous quality improvements. Identifies resources is the next. Provide the basis for identifying and assessing cost, revenue, and capital invested. Seventh, facilitates top-down approach or bottom-up approach. That means facilitating top-down, bottom-up approach to quality improvement. It enables the manager to identify channels and support quality improvement efforts to grassroots employees working both frontline and support teams. Eighth, constitute a rational basis for internal and external marketing. Service blueprint become a rational base for internal and external marketing. For example, the service map makes it easier for in-house promotion team to overview a service and select essential messages for communication. Service failure. Whether it is drawing a blueprint or a service map, service failures cannot be totally avoided. However, the points of potential service failures can be identified and field safe can be designed to reduce their occurrences. According to Chase and Stewart, service errors can be described as task treatment or tangibles. First is task errors. These errors include doing work incorrectly or work not requested, or doing work in the wrong order or too slowly. Second, treatment errors. These errors include failure to acknowledge, listen, or react approximately to the customer. Third, tangible errors. These errors may be caused by service failure to clean facilities or provide clean uniforms, or by failure to control ambient conditions in the physical environment. Fourth, preparation errors. These errors may occur because of the failure of the customers to understand their role properly in a service encounter. Fifth, encounter errors. These errors may occur due to customer failures to follow the service process properly. Next, resolution errors. These errors may occur due to failures of the customer to point out the service failures, lack of learning from experience, and lack of appropriate post-encounter action. So resolution errors are important to give us feedback for plugging the errors in service delivery by the employees.
Application of service blueprint. The service blueprint of existing service displays the real moments of the service provision. Further analysis of service can be done with different goals in the mind. Possible objectives could be to increase the client satisfaction, to diminish the process times, to reduce cost, or to increase the service quality. The service blueprint can be used as a starting point for process cost analysis. Depicting a service with service blueprinting does not automatically guarantee its validity. However, with the help of simulations, trouble spots in the process design can often be exposed.
Complexity, divergence, and service positioning using blueprints. According to Shostak, blueprints can be used to determine the level of complexity and degree of divergence of a service. Complexity relates to the number of steps and intricacies, and the greater is the complexity. The extent of planned scope or latitude which contact personnel are given refers to the degree of divergence. Low divergence can result in a high level of standardization. The symbol fan on the blueprints refer to points where varying degrees of divergence can be considered. This complexity is related to the size and number of elements in the blueprint, and divergence depends on the number of fans in the diagram. Any change in complexity and divergence reflects on service provider's judgment on the current and potential customer base. The molecular diagram of the blueprint will focus on the elements of the process which affects the positioning and operation. The service process is a vital element of the market mix, and it is designed to identify the fail points and set a very effective executional standards of the service to customer expectations. For introducing the process, there is need of thorough understanding of customer wants and pattern of behavior. While designing a process designer has to maintain a balance between functionality, security, aesthetics, ease of use by the staff. The blueprinting or flow charting is a technique which is
So, students, let us now summarize what we have learnt in this module. Blueprinting provides an overview of service delivery process, identifies fail points, improve service design, helps in continuous quality improvement, and constitutes a rational basis for both internal and external marketing. It also provides for identifying and assessing cost, revenue, and capital invested in each of the element of service. The key feature of service blueprint is the focus on the customer experience in documented first and is kept fully in view. At the other features of the service blueprint are then developed in taking a commercial shape. Thank you.